off the mitzvah is the reason why I started reading off the mitzvah is as Jews, we're not our religion is not necessarily to go in about one day a week, right? There's a lot of times in other religious heritage that I had, there would be times when, I'd see people out about town. This is not them, people try to do the best they can, but I'd see them and it was almost like, oh, hold on a second, I gotta remember I'm a Christian, or I see them and they have to remember, I've got to act like today is Sunday, and so it was Sunday and Wednesdays. You put on your church face and you do that. That's not necessarily the life of a Jew. The goals of the life of a Jew is to apply it everywhere, right? And not to say that we don't do this too. That we put on a facade necessarily when we're around other Jews, but the object is that we should apply the Torah every day of our life. Okay, so Hashem, praise His name, gave us the Torah. And we can go through the Torah and find things within the daily. So it's broken up into 7 aliyot, and so there's stuff that we can get daily and add to our life daily. Somebody I saw a comedy skit one time where a stand-up comedy where the man said, a lot of us Jews are OCD. We have everything, and if you allow it, the machinations, Judaism really has it for you. There's traditions on how you put on your clothes and how you pray and how you eat and everything and anything if you want it covered. So I would encourage you, find just a few mitzvot that speak to you this week and try to apply them. We have so many different commentaries. Unfortunately, Google is inclined to, I don't know if people from the Christian persuasion either pay Google or what it is, but 9 times out of 10, if you go on Google, there'll be a lot of stuff from a Christian source on, not to say that some sources from a Christian perspective are not necessarily bad, but I would say is something to find a Jewish source and try to go for that first. Let's say Sephardia is good. Sephardia is working on their search engine within Sephardia. The vast amount of Jewish literature is vast, right? And a lot of it is not translated. A lot of it is the idea is that this is not for mass consumption. It should be through a rabbi. We're necessarily afraid for people to, not afraid, but people get off the track when they go into mysticism and things that are detached from the source, the Torah. And so you have to really search out and find different sources. But there's Rashi, there's Rambam, there's to go in. There's different schools that we can go to, schools as in trains of thought. Look at the perspective of, Hillel, look at the perspective of Shammai, and here's the beauty of Judaism is you have the ability to make a decision for yourself and for your family how you're going to apply it. Now, if you're within a community, say, Benei Avraham, we have our traditions here, and you should try to be, applicable and cognizant of our traditions here. You're not trying to, get people all, we're not trying to do everything, on our own, but individually, we're individuals, so we have our own perspective. I said that basically the reason why I give the mitzvot every week, and the power of mitzvot is very, very important. There have been people that have had supposedly, this is also put in the realm of midrash, people that have had near-death experiences, and they thought they were the worst person on earth, and it come to find out when they were being judged in a heavenly bet din that they found out that just insignificant, what they considered insignificant mitzvot counted a huge amount, right? That's why our brothers and sisters, well, brothers who call out, Jews to do the tefillin, our brothers in Chabad, they always stop people. So it's helping people do the mitzvah, beautifying the mitzvah and doing it. So there's two things I wanted to get. I'm gonna try to do them really quick. There's two things that always come out in this Torah portion. It's this, the establishing of government, which according to our sages say is applicable to everyone, not just Jews. It's applicable to all the nations. It's one of the 7 Noahide laws. Now, any of y'all have heard me talking. I've got my own opinions on the Noahide laws and my own, feelings on that. But the establishment of the assembly in Jerusalem, they seem to be at least in line with, okay, here's the standard for allowing goyim into our assembly, and it was pretty much they came down to what would not cause dissension among the brethren, being the Jews, right? So it's a Jewish house. If you're going to be in our house, and here's the rules, right? Okay, so the Torah portion opens up with the explaining that Hashem says that we're supposed to set up government. Okay, I heard an older rabbi. This is not this year. I apologize. I don't remember who it was. But it was off of JJ. I almost said JJ Abrams. RR. Oh man, I forgot his name. He's a heavyset rabbi. He's got a big, huge beard. He runs along with Rabbi Friedman. Anyways, he gives the analogy with the about Gehinnom that I like to use about the sock. No, not a Nava, but it's R.R. Jacobson, maybe. I don't remember, but you'll find him. I'll get it and I'll put it up on the chat later. But yes, Jacobson, yes, absolutely. But he was saying, and he was quoting it, and basically he said if you've got a problem, he said during times when we vote for the president and we vote for representatives, every 2 years. Good thing with my job, I can't necessarily endorse anybody, so I try to have to pull myself out of it. But he was saying, look, we need to be okay, especially when we come to the realization of what Mashiach is going to be. He's going to be a presider over Hashem's government, right? And there's some things within that within his government, being the Mashiach, he's going to institute that is going to be a little bit hard for us. Says he's going to rule with a rod of iron, and we're going to have a certain mindset. Now, this includes taxation. It includes, being honest in business, and all sorts of stuff is going to have to change in those nations who come under his leadership, which eventually will be the entire world. But thing is one of our favorite things to do is to complain against the government. And this is, I don't know if you're from Canada or from the United States or from Africa or anywhere, the Pirkei Avot, which is our sages said that, we should be careful of trusting politicians. And this was written, 2,000 years ago, right? So it hasn't changed. I'm giving a training in a few things, and we're having a lot of people come over, and they're coming from outside in government, and it's hard for people to deal with bureaucracy. And I reference a book that was written in the 1700s, even before our nation was established, and it's called The Employees, or The Bureaucrats. And it's a French book, and the French man was basically, this guy tries to take a letter and he tries to take it to another department, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And finally, 400 pages later, the letter gets to where the right department. It's been 40 years, and basically the guy dies. So it was basically a complaint against bureaucracy, right? And then our government, the founders based kind of our legal system and our system of government based on that. So from the get-go, there was problems, okay? But Hashem says, listen, there needs to be judges, and there needs to be rulers, and there needs to be people. Now, I don't know if you caught it. It said that it should be done city to city, and if it gets bigger than that, then you go to a central governing. Okay, for a long time, we didn't even have a king, and the fact that we still exist as a people and as a nation, that we survive, that is just amazing. Through the leadership of our Kohanim and our the judges, that we stayed together as a country is just amazing. So we have to our Torah is full of 613 laws, and so Hashem expects us to do those, and He expects us to live peaceably within our land. So I'm saying that problems with government, we have to. We look forward to the government that the Messiah is going to set up. So in the meantime, we can complain and look forward to the Messiah's kingship and the Messiah's government. And he's going to be a king, and he's going to provide over, according to the Talmud, he's going to preside over kind of like a what do they have in England, a parliament kind of thing, the Bet Din, and it's going to be brought out through each community, and that's what it seems like the Besorah and Daniel and Ezekiel talks about, that Hashem is going to send representatives through the Mashiach to the nations to teach them the Torah and to administer his judgment and his government. So we need to get used to government, and but we look forward to a pure government, And here's the thing. We have to look through the lens of a Jewish idea of eschatology, and a lot of it is not applicable, but not viewable today, because we don't necessarily want it to be taken by the goyim and to be bastardized, as it were. And I don't mean to say a bad word or whatever, but it seems like at the end of Mashiach's reign, and this is also confirmed with the Hasidic writings and the writings of our sages, that the world is, after thousands of years, depending on how you interpret it, the earth is going to say, we don't want this. We don't want God to rule. We don't want Mashiach to rule. And they're going to say, nope, we're not going to take this anymore. Hashem himself was going to be so upset that he's going to be like, okay, I'm just going to start everything over. And then we get to the beyond, whatever that is. So there's another thing I wanted to address. I know I'm taking up some time here. I apologize. It was so good. I got it from Rabbi Foreman of Aleph Beta. And there's this why Hashem chose the three to four demarcations of why our soldiers were removed. Now, the first one, fear. Fear is a very big contagious. Is very contagious, right? The battle in itself and war is a very scary thing. The idea that there was a tradition with ancient Hebrews and our people that we would get divorced when we go into battle. So all intents and purposes, you're thinking there's dolphins out there. But all intents and purposes, these men expected to die, right? With that, it's hard to imagine how you would go into that situation and not be afraid. But Hashem is like, listen, I don't want you to be afraid, and when you go into battle, the admonition is not to be afraid. So one of our great sages, Rebbe Nachman of Breslov, one of his famous quotes is there's a narrow bridge, but the main important thing is that we're not afraid. Okay, his thing is don't be afraid, and to be joyful, right? Because at the end of the day, Hashem is going to take care of us. We like to hang on to the here and now. The here and now is important, but it's not the be all end all, you know. Okay, so once we get past that, it could be like, in Sesame Street, there is a thing what we would do, and there would be a song that says, one of these things is not like the other. There'd be like an apple, an orange, a pear, and there'd be a tire, right? And so kids would be like, well, obviously the tire is different, right? So obviously the fear part was different, right? So we put that to the side, and now we get a point of view of Hashem's like, listen, if you planted a vineyard, if you recently got engaged, or if you recently bought a house, then you don't have to go into war. And why that? You know, I mean, why is it so bad that you die and you don't get to do what you set out to do? I mean, is it like eternity plus a little bit extra? I mean, but what Rabbi Foreman was saying, the insight that he gave was that these are things that were important to Hashem, that Hashem gave to us in the beginning, right? He gave us a home, right? And that was the admonition. If you haven't had a home that you didn't get to live in, go live in your home, right? Before you got a pretty good chance of dying, right? He said, go and when you planted a vineyard, you want to go and be able to enjoy your vineyard, right? What did he do for us? He planted a vineyard. He planted a garden for us to live in. And then he said, if you have a spouse, you were engaged, and you have a spouse, to go ahead and go out. Don't serve in war. Go home to your spouse. Go home to your wife, and provide children for the future, right? So these are things that were the original intent for us, right? I think Hashem is saying, listen, I care about these things. I care about you. I gave you a home. I gave you a family, and I gave you sustenance. And if we're staying with him, we stay with him, and he's always promised us that. That's always one of the promises, that he'll give us a place to stay, whether it's under his wings or we'll go to houses that we didn't inherit. He'll give us food to eat, and he'll give us children. He'll give us, this is the very first thing that he told us, be fruitful and multiply, right? One of the great things, one of the great promises, I gotta make sure I don't choke up here. One of the great promises in Ezekiel and Daniel in the forthcoming Messianic kingdom and the world to come is that we're going to be able to have families that will not lose any of our children, right? So you look forward to that. Hashem wants to take care of us. He wants to provide for us. And he, even now, he does that. So let's try to hold on to some mitzvot, apply it daily, apply it during the week, and let's all have a good week. Not be afraid, and let's try to find the joy where it may be found. Baruch Hashem.
Yeah. All right.
Try to keep this short. Okay. So I really like both Safa's Drash and Atzlayahu. Of course, when you're quoting Yeshua, it's always like going to convict very to the heart, right? So can't go wrong. But all right. So in this portion, we have this one verse. It's in Deuteronomy 20, verse 9. Actually, this is just a part of that verse, but it's talking about when you're going into battle, when you're sieging a city. There is this. It says, is the tree of the field a man to go into the siege before you? So, is the tree of the field a man to go into the siege before you? And what's interesting is, our sages, different people. I think King David and wrote some psalms about comparing man to a tree, and also Yeshua compared a man to a tree in a way, and Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, or the Rebbe, also talked about how compared a man to a tree. And the Rebbe said, man is like a tree. If a person stands like a tree, he will be strong like a tree. And he will produce fruits like a tree. So let us break down how we can be compared to trees. How I want to be more specific. Not just any tree, because the Torah talks about a tree that produces fruit, right? It talks about a tree that produces fruit. Those are the ones that you don't chop down. You use the fruit, you eat the fruit, and you let the tree continue to grow. So here's our interpretation of this analogy. So first of all, we have the roots of the tree, right? And if you ever seen like a picture illustration of a tree, of a full tree with all the roots underneath the tree, it's usually the roots are just as big as all the branches above the ground. You just don't see them. They're hidden, but they are massive under there, right? And so the roots represent also our faith, right? So yet, even though it's invisible, it's something that you don't see. It's very important. It's crucial, right? It's a source of nourishment and stability. It keeps a tree from falling over, just like it will keep us. If we have a strong faith, it keeps us from falling over, from sliding back into our negative ways or whatever, right? A faith represents our core beliefs and our commitments that we make. Okay. All right. And the second thing is the body, right? The trunk, the branches. Those are our visible, the visible representation of us, or just our, the physical part of us, right? The trunk, the branches, the leaves. They show that things are growing. On a tree, they show the things that are growing, and in us, it shows that it kind of shows what's going on inside of us, right? How we act, how we behave, what we do, how healthy we are in a way, right? So that's the body. And it encompasses intellectual, emotional, physical. All these achievements that we do, all these things that we do. And then the third thing is the fruit of the tree, right? The fruit of the tree, it sustains, it gives nourishment and life to not the tree itself, but to others, and also allows new trees to grow, right? And so the fruit that when you apply it to ourselves, right? The fruit is our influence. It's also could be a physical thing. It's also our children. It could be our children, right? But it can also be people that we influence in a positive, good way. Our deeds, yes, our deeds that we do, things that we do, the power to impact others, right? Our ability to spread our values and our beliefs to our children and to others, and the legacy that we leave. And so it could also, we compare it to Avraham. He may not have had many children, but he left a huge legacy and brought many into truth, into the belief in Hashem. And so, what are some lessons that we can learn from the tree, right? So the tree, the lessons that we can learn just by looking at a tree is the importance of balance, right? And we see that a tree has these really super deep roots that keep it balanced, keep it from toppling over. Even though if there's winds blowing it around, it still stays up, right? And so the lesson we can learn from the tree and its roots is that faith is, if we apply it to our faith, that our faith is very important and that we need to continue to always develop our faith. And the second thing we can learn from a tree is its resilience, and specifically the roots, right? When you have strong roots, when a tree has strong roots, it doesn't get blown over by storms and things. And same thing with us. When we have strong roots, we don't get blown over. We don't get knocked over by whatever crazy stuff happens in our lives. We can still be positive. We can still continue moving forward, and use those things, the lessons we learn from hard times, to apply them to the good times and to the future. And the last thing is the tree and how it grows. So as a tree grows, it's not an immediate thing. It's a nice slow growth, right? And it provides shade, it provides fruit, it provides all these things as it's growing, and it is a benefit to everything around it. It seems like to me, anyway. I mean, maybe there's still little small plants that might not like all the shade, but to us, it's a big benefit, right? And so, how can we also be like this tree who continues to grow nice and slowly, and is beneficial to those around us, whether it be saying kind words and all those kind of things. Okay. So I want to connect some things that Yeshua said to this, right? Yeshua talked about trees. And so in Matthew chapter 7 and verse 18, he says, a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them. So, and we oftentimes will quote this or bring this to mind, or thinking about leaders or people that we want to follow, or even not even leaders, just other friends, other people that we are in contact with. If their fruits are not good, if things that the things that they do is not benefiting other people around them, you kind of don't want to associate yourself with them, and you see that it's not a good thing, right? So this is how Yeshua was comparing men to trees, or people to trees. And then another teaching is a little bit different, but it's kind of in the same vein. He talked about the vine, right? And how Yeshua is the vine. I am the vine, and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And I think this really ties into how Yeshua is the Torah, compared to the Torah, and how this can also be, directly from the Torah. So it's like if we replace, Yeshua instead of I am the vine, it's saying Torah is the vine, and you are the branches. And if you remain in Torah and Torah remains in you, you will bear much fruit. And apart from the Torah, you're nothing, essentially. You're gonna be in a bad place, essentially. So it's like, Yeshua taught these things, so deeply, and so great, and you just gotta look at them, and see that. So how can we do this? How can we apply this today? I like to be practical, right? What are some things that we can do today, specifically, I think, to strengthen your faith, or strengthen our faith? This is all for us. We're all together in this. And we're all facing challenges all the time, right? So we know that we need to strengthen our faith. So, I was just thinking, what are some ways that we can do this? And we can read, we can study, right? We can study the Torah, we can study Yeshua's life, we can study the Tanakh, and any other positive books, or any other, even movies. Even a positive movie can affect you in a positive way. So take that time to look for things that are going to actually affect you in a positive way, right? Another thing we can do is pray to Hashem, meditate on good things, meditate on positive things. Just be still and quiet, and just and even out. I think also, go out in nature, stand under a tree, and just enjoy the quietness of it. And another thing is to actually do mitzvot, to do good things around you. Not just any mitzvot, but do mitzvot that are contributing to I guess to other people. So helping the poor, helping the needy, those kind of things are gonna strengthen your faith, because you're gonna feel good. Honestly, you're gonna feel good, probably even better than the person you're helping out. Whenever I've donated some of my time at a shelter or something, giving food out to the homeless or the poor, you just feel like you're in a good, just feel good. I don't know what to say. And even just helping people out, I don't know if, even when you've received help from someone, let's say you're just putting your groceries in your car and someone comes up and grabs them and helps you out, it feels really good. It feels really good, and as the person that's helping, it feels that feels very good for them too. So just look for ways that you can do helpful, nice things to people, acts of kindness, and then also words of kindness. Do say some kind words to people, because not only will affect their mood, but it'll affect your mood. As you're saying nice things to somebody, it's very hard for you to switch and start saying negative things, right? You're saying nice things, you're going to continue to say nice things. If you hear people saying nice things around you, you start saying nice things. So, say kind, nice things, positive things, right? And these things are inspirational. So, those are the practical things I could think of that will help strengthen your faith, because as you see these things, especially, if you're doing things that Yeshua did, and then it's making you feel good, it strengthens your faith in Yeshua. If doing things that the Torah tells you to do, it strengthens your faith in the Torah. It strengthens your faith in Hashem, who gave us the Torah, right? And so these are just some of the things that I thought of. So as we go off today, may we remember, whenever we look at a tree, may we remember how it can represent a man, represent you in a way, and how the roots need to go down deep, how the branches can spread out and affect many people, and how the fruit can continue on, fruit can continue on, more trees and more trees and more goodness. So that's the lesson we can learn from this short little verse, a tiny thing in the Torah. So Shabbat Shalom.